So we're going to be just talking. I just wanted to share three things on vision. Three things on vision for the youth department. You obviously know just from this kind of stuff, man, that we want things to be done with excellence. We want things to be done in a timely manner. We want things to be done that are very thoughtful and thought through. That we want you to know that when you come to an event, that we have thought through the details. And that we're going to make things attractive for you and attractive for your students. If there is ever an event that you come to that you have a bad experience, man, I want to hear that feedback. Okay, you're not going to offend me. I've got thick skin. I've got my big boy drawers on, and we can handle it. Okay, but if you don't ever tell me, and if the way that you tell me that you had a bad experience is to never come to that event again, then I'm never going to be able to change it for somebody else. Okay, and so I want you guys to know that there is an openness. There's an open floor. There's an open forum. There's an open door. My cell phone is published. My email is published. Call me, text me, email me. If there's an issue, if there's a problem, man, I want to be able to fix it, because if you've had that problem, somebody else will, or maybe somebody else has had it for years, and we want to be able to fix that. So in all of these things, there are three things that I want to really just kind of go over and pour. And for the next few years, you'll hear this over and over again. Number one, what I want to see take place in the youth department is healthy leaders. Healthy leaders. Leaders that their whole health is paramount. So mental health, physical health, emotional health, spiritual health. We talked a little bit about this last night, man. We're sick and tired of hearing about marriage failures. We're sick and tired of hearing about friends dropping out of ministry. We're tired of hearing about friends who have literally attempted suicide or have committed suicide. I have a friend in every one of those categories. And that's not okay with me, man. And so as a person now that gets to sit in this seat, I feel like I have a voice and I have some influence that we're not going to let that happen. It's kind of that whole idea of not on my watch. Man, I don't want to see leaders in isolation. And the truth is, we are separated geographically. The truth is, we do deal with depression. We do, man. We do deal with isolation. We do deal with this inferiority of coming to events like this and maybe hearing oh man, I brought 40 students to this event or 100 to this event. And here we are walking up with our 3 students. And guess what? I've been there on both sides, man. I've been there walking up to convention with a handful of students lost, not knowing where to go, not understanding how the check-in process works. And I've been there with the 100 students at camp where we have an entire dorm to ourselves because we got there early because we were setting up stuff. And here's the deal, man. We need and we value every group, right? We need your input. It's not you have this priority, you have this importance. We value leaders. If you are a youth leader in the Rocky Mountain District, we value your opinion and we value you. Whether you've been here for 50 years or for 5 months, man, your voice matters. And what I love to say is this: I love to pull back the curtain. And everybody gets to see the behind the scenes. You all get to see how we make the sausage, man. And sometimes it's messy. Sometimes it's ugly. Sometimes it's chaotic and it's crazy. Yeah, it's pretty rough analogy right there, man. Graphic analogies. But I just want you guys to understand that if you have any questions, man, we're an open book. We want to see healthy leaders. And what do we want to see with that is leadership development and leaders networking. Okay, so what does that look like? Leadership development, man. You're gonna get resources from us. You're gonna get book ideas from us. I may call you, Will, and say, Will, what's the latest book that you've read? Can you put a book review on the youth Facebook page so that we can get a summary of that book that you read? Why? Because if you've read it and you got something out of it, somebody else will too. If you want a great leadership book advice right now, there's 2 books that I absolutely love. Leadership Pain. If you haven't read that book, every youth pastor, every minister should read that book, Leadership, Pain, and Extreme Ownership. Extreme Ownership is written by Navy SEAL. So Jocko, man, you'll love that book. And it's incredible. Talking about just owning your decisions and owning your mistakes. So leadership development, networking, and friendships. I can't tell you that enough how much events like this and the camps, I never chose what camp I went to based on the speaker. I chose what camp I went to based on what other youth pastors I could convince to come to that camp with me. Because I wanted to be in friendship and relationship with those guys. I went to camp with Johnny Hunt every single chance I could because our youth groups were so competitive. And dude, we would play basketball and baseball. It was nuts, man. And we would go there and have a blast. Why? Because we were like-hearted and like-minded. And our students would show up, and from night one, when the worship team would hit that first note, it was just, wow. And we controlled almost the environment and the temperature of camp because I said, I want to be at camp with these guys. And I'm not saying that I did not want to be at camp with other guys, but there were other youth pastors doing youth ministry a little different than us. And that's okay because we all play a part. But networking is more than just randomly showing up at an event hoping to connect with leaders. It's intentionally connecting with leaders and intentionally networking. So that's why we're going to do the Youth Pastor Hangouts, the Youth Pastor Lounge, and these kind of things. At every event, what can we do to network with each other? And what can we do to pour in to each other? So number one, vision is going to be healthy leaders. I could talk about that for 3 days right there, man. I love that topic. Number two is empowered students. So healthy leaders and empowered students. What does this look like? This looks like discipleship. If you want to know what a successful youth ministry and youth pastor looks like, don't look at the size of their youth group. Don't even look at their youth group today. Look at their youth group 10 years from now. And those students that are still serving the Lord, those students that are discipling other students, when you've got students who get married and then they have kids and they're raising their kids to serve God, that's a successful youth ministry. It's helping students connect in the process, the art of the handoff. You'll hear that from me over and over in a lot of different contexts. How can I take my kids pastor and get that kid into junior high? We used to do a 5th grade retreat. It was the best thing we ever did as youth pastors. 5th graders, that summer, everybody coming in the 6th grade, we'd take them on a retreat. We'd go out and spend time with them and give them some other student leaders to kind of mentor them, big brothers, big sisters. And then when their first youth service on Wednesday night, they knew some of the older kids, they sat with them, and man, they were connected instantly. Instead of walking in like the first day of high school freaking out and peeing their pants, not knowing where the locker room is, all that type stuff. Discipleship is paramount. That is just something that's ingrained into me from day one. I feel like I had some amazing youth pastors, but I also feel like when I went to Bible college, I didn't know how to read my Bible. I didn't know how to pray. I didn't know how to really study God's word. I didn't know how to defend my faith. Kimmy, I love what you said the other night. We was talking, and I hope you don't mind me sharing this a little bit, but she was Mormon for the first time that Gavin met her. And Gavin asked her questions like, why do you believe what you believe? And she was like, I don't know. I was just raised this way. And here's what she said. Gavin opened his Bible and began to say, this is what I believe, and this is why I believe it. You know why? Because he had a youth pastor that discipled the mess out of him. He had a youth pastor that poured into him truth and passion and fire, an amazing revival atmosphere, but also the word of God that he could flesh out and speak. And then he converted his wife, right? He's like, nah, that's a good looking woman right there. I'm going to go convert her, man. That's like, loving discipleship and evangelism right there, man. But I love that. So here's what's challenging. Can our students defend the faith? And that's not just all on us, right? Like that's a parenting thing. That's a church thing. That's a pastoral thing. But we play a part in that. And it should be our goal that when students leave our ministries, that they have read through the Gospels, that they understand what Jesus did and what he said and how to express that. If all we have, if our only goal is that our students have read through the Gospels multiple times and they can articulate what Jesus did and what that means to me today, then we've won as youth pastors. Because truthfully, there's not very many college students that can do that today. So discipleship, empowered students. What do? We use camp, we use convention, we use fine arts, we use these events. Why? As motivating factors to get them around other students that will push them and challenge them. The one thing that I loved about having our youth group with Johnny's youth group is that those youth groups were like competitive in fine arts. Like it was either their kids or our kids winning award of merit in every category, man. And it'd be like, Broadmoor Assembly, Central Assembly, Broadmoor Assemblies. And man, it was hilarious. But we pushed each other. As iron sharpens iron, our kids maybe were motivated to just beat Johnny's group more than please God, but that's okay, man. Like it was awesome. And they got around each other. And even today, they're friends. Even today, those students are connected with one another. Healthy leaders empower students, and students are the heroes. Students are the heroes, man, so tell their stories. I said this the other day. One of the girls in the office, they were like, why did you put this sticker crooked? Or why did you put this here? And I was like, well, it was real intentional. Like I wanted to stand out. I told her, I said, I want this at a 45-degree angle. I want this in there. I want it when they opened it up so that they would see the really cool logo. Everything was intentional. And she was like, why does that really matter? And I said this funny statement, but it was really true. I said, if we don't care about stickers, how are we going to care about students? And I was like, tweet that, man, or whatever. But the reality is like everything does matter. I'm not being just critical of certain things, but I'm wanting to be intentional about what we do, because why? Students are the heroes. And so you're going to hear a lot more student stories. We want to tell their stories. We want to feature them at convention. Can you imagine, Will or Aiden, if one of your students, or Angela, one of your students comes to convention and we have got their video and their story about some amazing thing that they've done in their school or with their family, something that they've come through. And here's this student in front of 500 other students and their stories being told. It's not some random video we got from Speed the Light office. It's not some youth pastor getting the glory for what the student has done, but it's their stories being told. And man, can't you imagine the feeling of that student? And so many times, man, maybe that student's been told that they can't accomplish anything, and then here they are on the biggest stage in their lives at that moment. And so students are the heroes. So again, healthy leaders, empowered students, and you've heard this word from me already a lot, but intentional ministry. Intentional ministry. These are the three things that you're going to see me focus on as the serving in the DYD role. As a church ministries director, one of my roles is really resourcing and helping church as a whole. But when it comes to youth pastors, when it comes to kids pastors, this is what you're going to hear from me over and over and over again. I believe that there's a way. I heard this statement about evolution versus intelligent design in ministry. Not when it comes to creation, but evolution in ministry is just like, you know what? We're going to show up and things are going to happen. Camp is camp, and God's going to move. And we're not really thinking through a lot of the details. I'm not saying that's how it was done, but how it could be simply, easily, because it's just routine. Evolution, where it's just by chance that ministry is going to take place, versus intelligent design. What is our purpose behind this event, and how do we get there? And so I'm not necessarily preaching about outcomes. Yep, we want 50 churches at convention. That's my goal. We want 50 churches. We want over 500 students. We want to pack out that place. But that's an end goal. What I want to focus on is how do we get there? How do we help you get there? How do we help other youth pastors who are not in this room understand how important convention is and what role it plays, how important fine arts is, and what role it plays in discipleship, how necessary camp is, no matter how far you have to drive. I'm working on this graphic right now because everybody thinks they drive the furthest from Camp Cedar Ridge, except Brent. So that's okay. But this graphic of Colorado, I asked Andrew how far he drove. He drove about 7 hours. And I told somebody the other day that it takes us about 5 hours and 45 minutes to drive here from the Springs. And their response was, no way, it doesn't take you that long. I was like, all right, yeah, it does take me that long. And I don't drive slow, but we have to come through the mountains like everybody else. But everybody thinks I have to drive so far. And why would we come all this way? And the truth is, a lot of people drive a minimum of 5 hours to get to this campground. And it's worth every hour of that drive. And I'm challenging you guys to understand, to really use these events, to be intentional about what you pick and go to. I'm not the guy that wants you to be a part of every single thing that we do. I totally get it. You're going to have other things that you're doing. There's reasons why other youth pastors couldn't be here, and they're valid reasons. I'm not mad at them. But if there's 3 things that I would love for you to really be a part of, it would be Recharge, it would be camp, and it'd be convention and fine arts. Those are the 3 things. That's a rhythm of our ministry here. It's a rhythm of our year. And then I want to empower you guys to do the rest. If you are going to do a youth retreat and you want to come and utilize this campground, let's do it, man. Like, you guys use this for the winter camp. I spoke for your youth group a couple years ago at this winter camp, and it was amazing. And man, there's a lot of things that we can resource you. And we can help you. Don't feel like you've got to recreate this whole wheel. We can help you guys, and we commit to doing that. And if you can really focus on those 3 events, man, your ministry, your students, I believe your church will flourish and will grow. So healthy leaders, empowered students, and intentional ministry. Guys, those are the things I want you to be praying with me about. I want you to be helping me with networking. There are youth pastors that should have been here at this event. And you know what? It's just life. It's just stuff. We get busy. We get hectic. I asked Austin, how did you guys hear about this? He said it was an email. Well, you know how we got that email? From a Facebook post, I believe. Or it was from Jessica calling your church, asking for email addresses. Maybe he was on the email address from a while back. But we have to be more intentional about calling our friends, going, hey, are you coming to Recharge? Hey, you're coming to convention, right? Hey, let's stay in the same area. Let's go eat at the same places. Let's do some of the same things. Let's network together. Let's get in this community. Which camp are you going to? Hey, let's sign up early so we can be at that same camp. We'll take over that camp, man. And we're going to just influence the passionate worship, influence the way that we're doing things. So guys, I'm just asking you, help me. Help me to take our leaders to the next level, man. I don't want any leader left behind. I don't want any youth pastor to feel like they're so far out, or they're so small of a group, or they're so this or so that. I want them to know that they have a seat at this table. I want them to know that we need them and we're better with them than we are without them. I want to pray over you guys, and then we're just going to kind of hang out for a little bit. We've got